The story begins in a Siberian prison, where people from many countries are held. Escape from here is almost impossible. The prison is surrounded by thousands of kilometers of snow and dense forests. After World War II, the Soviet authorities captured thousands of people and forced them to work day and night in coal mines. The prison itself was poorly guarded, but no one dared to escape. Beyond its walls stretched an endless sea of snow, a frozen desert separated from the nearest human settlement by thousands of kilometers. Even if someone tried to flee, the harsh Siberian cold became their death sentence. In this land of ice and silence, no prisoner could even dream of freedom. Among the inmates is a Polish officer named Janusz. Falsely accused of several crimes, Janusz is ordered to sign a confession, but he refuses. The enraged investigator brings in his wife. With tears in her eyes, she says that Janusz is her husband, that he hates the Communist Party and spies for Poland. Janusz is shocked, but looking at her, he understands the truth. She was tortured to make her slander him. Because of this lie, Janusz receives 20 years in prison for espionage and is sent to a Siberian gulag camp. Next, the camp chief tells the prisoners that their prison is not just the camp, but all of Siberia. Even if they manage to escape, local residents will kill them, as a large reward is offered for capturing a fugitive. Then we see all the prisoners standing in line for food. At that moment, Janusz notices an old prisoner dying of hunger. Janusz gives him his portion. Seeing this, a man named Mr. Smith tells Janusz that there's no place for humanity here. If you give food to others, they'll cut your daily ration. Later, Janusz meets a prisoner named Habarov, a former actor. Habarov says he played a rich man in a film and got 10 years in prison for that. Janusz asks if there's a way to escape. Habarov replies that there isn't, and advises not even to think about it, or they'll kill him. The next day, the prisoners are sent to the forest to gather firewood. During the work, Janusz surveys the area, looking for an escape route. In the evening, Habarov tells Janusz that he has an escape plan and has been waiting for a brave and determined companion like Janusz. Habarov describes his plan. About 500 kilometers from here is Lake Baikal. If they head south along its shore, they can reach the Trans-Siberian Railway, and crossing it leads to the Mongolian border. But first, they need to wait for the end of winter, then escape. They also need to stock up on food for the journey. They start gradually collecting supplies every day. One day, Janusz, Mr. Smith, and several other prisoners are sent to work in a coal mine, where survival was especially difficult. There, Janusz begins to hallucinate. He imagines his home. He walks toward the vision, but at that moment, a guard is about to shoot him. Fortunately, Mr. Smith manages to grab Janusz and saves his life. Then, Janusz tells Mr. Smith about Habarov's plan. He replies that Habarov has no plan. He's lying. Habarov always says that to new prisoners. Smith adds, "If you want to escape, I'll go with you." Janusz asks, "Why do you want to escape with me?" Mr. Smith replies, "You're a good person. You have humanity. It might come in handy. If something happens to me, you'll help me."
One night, a strong blizzard begins. Janusz tells Kabarov, "Today is the perfect moment for escape. The blizzard will cover our tracks and the guards won't be able to find us." But Kabarov objects, "Now is not the right time. We haven't gathered enough food and aren't ready." A criminal named Valka overhears their conversation and threatens Janusz, demanding to be taken along. Janusz agrees. That same night, Janusz, Mr. Smith, Valka, and 7 other prisoners prepare for escape. Kabarov refuses to go, saying the preparation isn't complete. To escape, they first shut off the generator, which stops working for only 10 minutes. Then they cut the wire and run into the forest. When the guards notice the disappearance, they also head into the forest to search. But due to the blizzard, the fugitives' tracks are already being covered by snow, and the guards can't figure out where they went. Then they release the dogs. Meanwhile, the strong storm hinders the prisoners from moving forward. Using Valka's knife, they strip bark from trees and make face-covering masks to protect against the cold, and continue their journey until morning. They end up far from the camp, where the guards couldn't catch up to them. They sit down to rest and gather all the food they have. It only lasts for a few weeks. After a short rest, they continue on. They need to reach the Mongolian border via the southern shore of Baikal, and there's still many days of travel ahead. Janusz uses the sun to determine the direction and leads the group. They keep going, and at nightfall, they set up camp in the forest. To start a fire, everyone goes to collect brushwood. One of them, a boy named Kazik, had poor night vision. Only his friend knew about it. Kazik gets lost in the forest while gathering wood. When the others return, he's nowhere to be found. They start searching but can't find him. In the morning, they see that Kazik is sitting nearby, but unfortunately, he froze to death from the cold. This event deeply shakes everyone. Janusz says, "Today, a free man died." They pay Kazik their last respects, bury his body, and continue on. We see that many days have passed, and by this time, their food has run out. To satisfy their hunger, they eat insects and bird eggs. In fact, they should have reached Lake Baikal a week ago, but having lost their way, they were still far from it. One night, while they're sleeping, they hear animal sounds. Approaching closer, they see wolves devouring prey. Driving away the wolves, they eat the meat and finally get some relief. The next morning, Janusz tells everyone that he'll go alone to search for Lake Baikal. If he doesn't return in a week, it means he's dead. Janusz leaves alone. After many difficulties and trials, on the third day, he finally sees Baikal. He returns and tells everyone that the lake is just one day's journey from here. By this time, Janusz is very weak and his comrades take care of him. The next day, they head to Baikal. During the journey, they notice a girl following them. She says she's fleeing from the Russians and has been starving for many days. She asks to be taken along. Janusz and Vas want to help the girl, but the others are against it. There's not enough food even for everyone, so they leave her and go on. When they reach the shore of Baikal, they see a deer stuck in the mire. They kill the deer and use its meat for food, which provides sustenance for several days. In the evening, Vas returns with that same girl. They feed her and accept her into the group. Her name is Irina. The next day, after bathing and washing their clothes, they continue on. On the way, Irina grows close to them. After a few days, they reach the Trans-Siberian Railway. From here to the Mongolian border, about 5 to 6 days of travel remained. Since people walked there during the day and police patrolled, they decide to cross the road at night. In the evening, they head to the Mongolian border. But here, Valka tells Janusz that he can't go further. He'll stay, as he's Russian. Janusz says goodbye to him, and the group moves on. When they reach the Mongolian border, they see a photo of Stalin at the gates and realize that Mongolia is now under communist control. This drives them to despair. They risked their lives to get here, and now there's no place for them here either. Then Janusz suggests going to India through Tibet, as India is under British rule and they can be safe there. But for that, they'll have to cross the Himalayan mountains. Despite the dangers, they decide to move forward for the sake of freedom. There are still thousands of kilometers ahead. On the way, they have to cross the vast Gobi Desert. They go on, not losing courage. To survive, they eat whatever they find and wet their clothes with water to suck on the fabric and quench their thirst. They cover themselves with clothes from the scorching sun, but it's not enough. Their condition worsens, the water runs out. At some point, Mr. Smith notices something like trees in the distance to the east and thinks there might be water there. Janusz says it's a mirage and suggests going south, but Smith doesn't listen and heads where he saw the trees. Fortunately, there really is a well with water. Seeing this, everyone rejoices and drinks their fill. They want to stay here for a few days, but Janusz reminds them that without food, they'll weaken and won't be able to go. So, the group decides to continue.
The next day, they take as much water as they can and go on. With each day, the path becomes harder. Suddenly, a strong sandstorm hits them. They manage to survive, but most of the water spills and is lost. Still, they continue. Soon, Irina falls. Her legs are swollen, but she tries to walk so as not to be a burden. However, soon she falls again and, unfortunately, dies. They bury Irina and continue. A few days later, another companion, Thomas, dies. Now, only 4 remain alive. With each day, they grow weaker. Their strength and spirit leave them. Mr. Smith almost gives up. He tells Janusz, "I can't go on anymore." Then, Yanis reminds him of his son, killed several years ago, to give him strength. These words inspire Smith, and they continue walking. A few days later, they manage to cross the desert and reach a place with water. There, they even catch and eat a snake. After walking a few more hours, they reach the Great Wall of China, but they can't enter China because there's a war between China and Japan. Then, they begin climbing the snow-covered Himalayas, heading to Tibet. Soon, they reach a monastery where they are warmly welcomed, given food and shelter. A monk tells them that the path to India lies through Sikkim, but they can't go now. A snowstorm is expected. However, Yanis wants to go immediately. Mr. Smith says he'll head to Lhasa and then to China, where a US military operation is underway. He hopes to return to America with their help. The next day, Yanis and the two remaining companions continue through the Himalayas. Soon, they reach Sikkim, where local residents help them. Later, it turns out that Yanis couldn't return home to Poland for a whole 50 years because the country remained under communist rule. Only after Poland's liberation in 1989 does he return home, to the place he saw in his visions. This time, he really takes the key from under the stone by the door and opens it. In the house, his aged wife awaits him. Seeing each other, they embrace with tears in their eyes. This is where the film ends. If you liked the video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel.